There are a lot of guides on tanks in Hearts of Iron 4, but there is one thing that I noticed that are pretty much the same about them. They are all pretty much meant for single player, as well as being outdated. So to begin with, we're starting here as Germany, so I'm just going to quickly give myself 100 XP and research. Yep. And we're gonna research anti-tank. So we are gonna start with heavy tanks. So basically, in tank meta, you want to start off by making a convert, which will look like this. So this is the basic convert design for heavy tanks: 3 small cannons, 1 radio, heavy machine gun, as well as 3-man turret. Reduces the cost to 23, and the torsion bar and diesel engine is to improve reliability, max engine ticks, and armor ticks. So the point of this tank is to produce a lot of them and then convert them before war. So when it hits about 39, you want to start converting your tanks. If you do it meta, you will have 4,000 of them by March 39. Now this is the convert design for medium tanks. It's very similar to the heavy tank convert, except you have machine guns and a superstructure, so you can turn it into tank destroyers. And then you have Christie suspension to increase movement speed, and then standardized production to reduce the cost. Now this is the medium tank design because in multiplayer, heart attack is king. So you have the improved heavy cannon in the radio too. For your MIO, you want to take everything that improves your efficiency gain and cap and production output, and then go for the heart attack. So there is something essential that you have to do in order for this to work. You have to decommission your heavy convert and replace the production line with your heavy tank. And then you click convert, and it'll start going at a much faster pace. You just want to make sure that you have max conversion tech by 39. Otherwise it will not help. One last thing before we move on to light tanks is the flame tank. The meta for them is mediums, and you're just going to put as much breakthrough as you can on it. You're going to do extra ammunition storage because it doesn't increase the production cost, but it improves breakthrough. You're just going to max everything. You're going to put a 3-man turret on this, and that's it. Christie suspension for speed and standardized production. Now let's move on to light tanks. Now light tanks have almost no purpose in meta or multiplayer. The only thing that they serve as is recon tanks. So you're going to put as much heart attack as you can on it and get as much breakthrough with interweaved, and then max all this and go standardized production. And that's it for light tanks pretty much. So now let's move on to templates. Now the heavy tank destroyer template is pretty simple. It's 10 heavy tank destroyers with 8 mech. If you don't have mech, you can make it motorized. Now the support companies are AA because it reduces cast damage and air debuff. Engineer because it gives you terrain buffs against forts and other stuff. Armored Recon because it gives you heart attack, 10%, which is huge, and then also it gives you movement speed in places. And then lastly, Flame Tanks because it gives you buffs against almost every terrain except like desert, and it also gives you 5% breakthrough. Now let's move on to mediums. Now medium tank destroyers, they're pretty much the same, except they have less heart attack, as you can see. Now the next thing I'm going to go over is the stats. Now soft attack works against tanks way less because of their hardness. The more hardness they have, the less percent of soft attack damage they take. So with like heavy tanks, they'll take like 21% soft attack. Now with heart attack, they will take way more damage. So that is why heart attack is king. Now the way breakthrough works is if you have more breakthrough than the enemy's defense, you will avoid more of their damage. The way armor works is if the enemy has less piercing than your armor, then you take 50% less stats against them. Otherwise it has no other effect. The way piercing works is if you have more piercing than the enemy's armor, you do full damage. Now the last thing is initiative. It works like reinforce rate because the higher it is, the higher the chance of the tanks entering the battle. You can increase initiative by adding signal boosters. Now lastly, let's move on to doctrine. Now with doctrine, there are 2 doctrine paths that you would want to use for tanks. Grand Battle Plan adds more stats, or Mobile Warfare adds more breakthrough, as well as organization. The problem with Grand Battle Plan is it can get canceled out by enemy agents having intel in the area you're fighting, which removes your max planning and entrenchment, which is why it's probably better to use mobile warfare. It adds more organization, your tanks can be in the fight for longer, as well as it can't be taken away. And you want to use the left path for both of them. The right path doesn't work because it only works on tanks, not tank destroyer. So you want to use the left path because it works on armor, which is tank destroyer. Then you do the right path for modern blitzkrieg, and just all the way down the left, obviously, with Grand Battle Plan. If you're still here, I hope you guys dominate your opponents in the battlefield. I would also like to ask you guys to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below because it helps the YouTube algorithm a lot, and it also might help you learn something in the future. It is not easy to make these videos. So thanks for watching. See you next time.